Ready? Video sleep. Thank you. Trying to. Okay. All right. Savannah, if you have already started watching, try to maybe send a request to join on camera. It should be, I think on your bottom left of the video, of the live. Goodness God, here, is it good? What was it? That was an 8 on the burp, dog. Damn.
Huh?
Helios, he burped in the background. It was like an 8 on the
Hey,
Richter
Karen.
scale.
Hey, Karen.
Okay, Carl. Whatever you say, Carl. Hey.
How are you?
Hey. I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Yo, what's up?
Bruce.
What's up, my crew?
What up, my guy?
Man, jury duty this week, man. I tell you, I hate to be out there on grand jury, boy.
Jury.
Oh,
Jury duty. Yesterday, all day today. I got to go back Thursday.
Man, no, it's one of those things where, like, since you never really know what what the trial is actually going to be about, that they're trying to petition you for, it's just at that point, like, you just answer all the questions horrifically. It's like, I hate people, I love
Man, but you,
guns.
you you know what? You know what? I never been on one, but man, it's so much stuff happen right up under your nose, man. You won't even be aware of. For
yeah.
real.
I believe
That's
that. I
crazy.
believe that.
That's
Oh, for
crazy.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say I feel fortunate to not have been called in for jury duty before.
You
No,
just so bad
yeah.
on yourself. They gonna get you now.
You better knock
Yeah.
on some
I
wood.
know, I
You
just
better find
jinxed
some
it,
wood
right?
knock.
It'll be waiting for you in the mail tomorrow.
All right. Damn it, jury summons. Knew you should have said. Oh, man. Well,
That'll be a
welcome,
lesson to me.
welcome. Welcome to Tuesday Night Bully Talk. This is your first time with us, so we like to kind of start everything with you introducing yourself to the viewers. Your name, your kennel name, any business that you own that's dog related, and then how you got into bullies in the first place. Take it away.
All right. Yeah, so I'm Savanna Fernandez. My kennel name is DeTsavo Kennel. So that kind of came around as the way nicknames evolve, right? So Sav, Savvy, Savo. When I got Baroque, my current boy that I'm campaigning, I was joking with some coworkers and trying to come up with an idea for a kennel name. I really wanted to get back into bullies and kind of look at rebranding. And he had made the joke of, well, why don't you just write of Savanna or something like that. And so then it kind of turned into DeTsavo and then DeTsavo, because again, Savo was kind of going back to a nickname that I had way back when. So the pieces all kind of fell together for that. As far as getting into bullies goes, I got my first, I guess you could call him kind of like a proto bully. I got a Razor's Edge style pit bull back in the mid 90s as a gift from my parents. Was my very first dog that I ever got. So always really loved him. Decided when I was old enough to get another dog that I really wanted a pit bull. Of course, this was 2011 when I started looking again. Didn't understand bullies. I'd kind of heard about them. I started to try and look into it, and I was like, what's a gaudy pit bull? What's a Razor's Edge pit bull? Like, what are all these different types of pit bulls?
What does it all mean, Devil?
So then I started to actually understand the American Bully, and I got my first American Bully in 2014. He was an XL. We kind of mostly did fun shows and some UKC stuff back then. I had a few others after him, but the bully world kind of took a back seat for me at that point. And then I really got back into it when I picked Baroque up in 2023. So
He's beautiful. That is a beautiful dog you got there.
thank you.
Yeah, he kind of like just kind of stormed in. I feel like I only started hearing about him recently, but like it's one of those things where your campaign has been like a wildfire. Like
thank you.
Yeah.
I of course think he's a very special dog. I feel very fortunate to have come across him. The very first time I saw him, he was 2 days old, I think, and
Wow.
he was produced by Nikki Holcomb. And I saw she had posted a photo of this little black tricolor dog, and I was like, I think I want that dog. And I waited, and I got in touch with her a few more times later on and was like, hey, if that black tri puppy comes up, and she was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to let him go. And I was like, well, if you do.
Well,
Yeah.
so like he's I don't know if anybody that's unfamiliar with him in a general sense. How many grand champion titles does he have now?
Yes,
As
so
of
he
this year?
currently got 3 grand champion titles: UKC,
Wow.
ABKC, and BRC.
Man.
Yeah. So
That's what I meant when I said wildfire.
we've worked to really just get him out in every venue we can, and just kind of hit the ground running wherever we go. So he earned his champion in all 3 registries pretty quick. I would say we were with 2 events for his ABKC, and then I want to say we were similar for BRC. UKC took us just a little bit longer. We kind of struggled there because they viewed him as a little too bully for what they were looking for. A lot of the time.
That's been a trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, how long did it take you in UKC?
We were probably about, I want to say for his champion, it probably took us about 4 shows, but after that, we really struggled to pick up grand champion wins. And then we managed to travel to a different region, and I don't know, different judges, different regions. They really liked him, and he actually grand champion in a weekend while we were in Colorado. So.
Wow.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Interesting how that happens.
Yeah, we
Right?
kind of ran into a block up in Washington, and I was like, you know what, let's try somewhere else and see what we can do.
Well, where are you located?
I'm in Tennessee now, so we kind of are all over the place. I do construction for work, so kind of wherever the projects are, wherever it takes us. So out here building the new NFL stadium for Nissan. The
Oh,
Tennessee
heck yeah. That's cool.
Well, that's a task. Dang. Well, yeah. So how long do you think you're going to be in Tennessee with that in mind?
That project goes through early 2027, so not entirely sure what things look like for me after that. Kind of toying with the idea of some of the other projects that are coming up in the area, or some of the nearby states. So, of course, I really like the central location of Nashville here, it's very easy for us to travel to shows. And I think that's why people are seeing a lot more of Baroque in this last year is being in Nashville, we can actually campaign versus
Yeah.
Washington where there's
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
one event and we have to travel for the rest.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have access to the southeast, the northeast. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, even getting up to like the Michiana event is easier being in Tennessee than anywhere. So it's like that's prime. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
Yeah,
and I always kind of feel like it's funny because people are, oh, well, 6 hours is kind of a far weekend trip. And I'm like, well, up in the Northwest, I was going 7 or 8 just to visit family. So it's not that bad.
It ain't that deep. Oh yeah, no, my family's like a 12-hour drive, 11 if I'm driving. But yeah, long trips aren't that bad. But I'm that weirdo that like I've created this 4-hour drive window around so that I can actually leave the same day. Like so I can go up there, show, come back.
Oh yeah, there
So
you
I've
go.
kind of limited myself, but yeah, you guys are gangster for being willing to go to those lengths to show. And man, it definitely like you've been able to really get them out there this year. And yeah, I mean, so not only are you, and it's showing, all that work is showing because I mean you've got him in the top 10 in ABKC rankings right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been there for a minute. And on top of that, like you've got 3 total grand champion titles and 3 different registries, all of which I feel are on that higher end of like that's an accolade right there. So
Absolutely.
now, what in a conversation that you and I actually had not too long ago, I'd asked, what do you show him as class-wise? Now, obviously, UKC is unimportant because they show American Bullies throughout. They don't care. Their range is like, pocket to XL, all one class. Like they don't discriminate in that regard. But what do you show him as, like as far as ABKC and BRC?
Yeah, so ABKC he shows as a classic dog. He kind of rides that line though, I would say. BRC he shows as a standard dog. And then recently, so last year, UKC actually did recognize the 4 varieties. They don't show independent of one another, but they view him as a standard there as well.
Oh, I didn't know that new update. That's nice.
Hey, look, what 4 varieties are there in UKC?
So UKC recognizes the XL, the classic, the standard, and the pocket as well.
Okay, so same 4 varieties.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
They don't have them fully broken out where again, like so they still all show together, but you are starting to see a lot of judges that are interested in learning more about the differences between the varieties and that would like to see a push for true varieties in UKC.
That's
So
awesome.
do you feel like that's going to eventually lead to any sort of, not discrepancies per se, but where they're going to try and kind of push for them to be separate breeds like they do with the poodle schnauzers and then some?
I think if they were to do it, they would probably take more of an approach like they do with the Belgian Shepherd dog, where they show under an umbrella of Belgian Shepherd dog, but within that you've got the Malinois, the Lacanois, the Tervuren, and I can't remember the 4th variety, but I think it would probably be similar to that. And within that, I guess my view of it and my understanding of UKC is that they would be able to judge the varieties independent. And then sort of like we do at ABKC or BRC shows, the best of winner or best of variety would then go against each other.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question you might know because you're showing the UKC. So, we got a lot of dogs still registered American Pit Bull in UKC. And so I know they won't let you in a Pit Bull in that classification. So could you like transfer down or transfer over paperwork to the American Bully side from the Pit Bull?
Yes. Yep. So UKC allows you to transfer your American Pit Bull Terrier papers to Pit Bull or to American Bully. Sorry. I want to say, I can't remember the fee. It's somewhere between $20 and $50. So you pay the fee and then they'll update the paperwork for you. And so that'll carry the entire pedigree with you. So you'll just, sorry.
Not cutting you
But
off,
so
not cutting you off,
you know,
but hey, I'm old. I'll forget real quick. So look, I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this.
Hmm.
Okay, so once you go to American Bully, that's what it is. You can't come back across, right?
Correct. Once you're
Okay.
an American Bully, you can't go backwards. So it will carry your pedigree over, and it'll show those dogs that are American Pit Bull Terrier registered behind your dog. But from your dog forward, anything that your dog produces will be American Bully.
Man, they done
yeah.
changed a lot now.
Yeah,
Well,
they're starting to
Man.
get with it. So we actually just created a breed club for the UKC as well. I've been working on
Nice.
that with Nikki Holcomb, Anissa Shotbolt, Anna McLean, and a few other people that are trying to get the UKC standard more aligned with what the bully is and no longer kind of holding on to that past version of what they were looking for in the bully. So I anticipate that we'll see a lot of changes in UKC over the next couple of years. We actually had our first judges education presentation this year. So I was fortunate enough to kind of be able to run head on that. And I worked with people like Devin and Jamie Villa Gomez to really try and capture the essence of the American Bully without necessarily giving UKC judges whiplash, right? Like going from
Yeah.
these very
yeah.
terrier dogs to these bullier type dogs.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that I've had that. I feel like we've had that conversation with Nikki, not Holcomb, but and also Lois
Yes,
Villeroy, because you know they do show their dogs pretty frequently in UKC, and it became that, just like you'd said with going for broke. It's like they have the tendency to be like, no, those dogs are too bully, and they're like, yes, but I don't think you understand. This is the breed. Like, so I mean, it's not that they don't have the standard at hand. They're just, with an all breed registry, they have the tendency to try to go more towards functionality, and so sometimes that kind of blinds them a little bit to any other possibilities. They don't like any kind of, you know, features that are overdone, because they kind of feel like, even if the dog moves beautifully,
right.
but at the same time, in that same breath, they still accept other dogs that have other features that are
Right,
considered
complete opposite. The
either
complete opposite.
overdone or, you know, extreme for anything. I mean, so I mean, bulldogs, Old English, like they've got. I mean, hell, even the Frenchie at times, when you think about it, there's some health issues that, you know, they still go ahead and they just accept it in
Right.
spite of it being kind of.
Yeah.
So you're like, can
No,
you make this a second straw? So like,
I agree. And it is one of those things that's, you know, frustrating when you're bringing out typey dogs and you are losing to very terrier dogs. So I understand. I mean, I've really backed off of UKC in the last year, just kind of for that same reason, especially trying to keep Baroque more in a weight where he is more competitive in the ABKC and BRC venue. He's just not a dog that's really being looked at in UKC. So I definitely understand that. You know, it's a bummer when you're coming in with a nice dog who should theoretically really fit what they're looking for. They still want to go in an opposite direction. So I stay hopeful with UKC. I wouldn't say it's, for me, my top priority registry, but I still want to stay involved in the club and see the development as they try to realign that. And so for that reason, I did go ahead and show Baroque to his grand champion. I found it a great venue to start him off in. You know, it's much more laid back than you see in the other venues, while still being somewhat competitive for the breed. And we also like to do sports, so that's also, we'll hit UKC events every once in a while to try and get total dog awards, which is kind of like that big UKC ribbon. You know, your dog got something in confirmation and they did a sport on the same day.
Yeah.
So what else does he do? Like, other than obviously confirmation, what other events do you have him doing performance-wise in UKC
Yeah,
or any
so
other country?
nose work is probably his favorite. You know, when you see like dogs that are getting out to do lure coursing and they're just going absolutely berserk, spinning at the end of their leash, like gonna knock you down. That's him when he knows that we're doing nose work. He's actually really funny about a year ago, we were at an event, and I remember the judge looked at him and was like, "Why would you bring this dog here? Like, he's gonna ruin this course. Like, that dog is out of control. What are you doing with him?" and I let him go, and he found the odor in, I believe it was 1.7 seconds, and
Gosh.
you could just see her brain trying to process what just happened as this chaotic dog came in and very methodically went to work in this room immediately.
That's awesome. Such a
Yes.
breed advocate doing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we really like it. And I feel like we are starting to see a lot more minds change in that venue specifically, as they see dogs like him with type that can come out and do these events. So we're also working on agility. We are one qualifying score short of getting his agility title. We do rally obedience. We do regular obedience. He's done a little bit of lure coursing. It's not really his favorite. He kind of does it because I ask him to, but he's not much of a runner if you ever see him in person.
Yeah, if you want me to, but yeah.
I'm not really out here to do laps today.
Yeah, some dogs don't care about that. That's but then some dogs go berserk for it, just like he does with with the scent and everything like that. I can see. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's not really my favorite. So
It's interesting that you can find that out about your own dog, where there's certain, like, especially when you have that broad of a activity base, where like you do so many different things with the dog that like you can actually tell which ones is like,
yeah, the
but
ones that
kids,
he's like, well, I'll do it for you because you're asking me to, kind of that, like what you're looking for.
Sure, Dad, I'll play soccer.
Whatever makes you happy.
Whatever makes you happy, I guess. Oh my gosh. One thing I did want to talk to you about was, and I've seen this recently, kind of becoming more of a topic, temperament.
Yes.
There's been a couple comments here and there talking about how temperament is a almost like a buzzword, in the sense of some people are like, well, I don't think it means what you think it means, and where they're saying, no, these dogs shouldn't lose drive, but then there's what's the definition of drive, and is there a line that they shouldn't cross? I'm like,
right.
And you had a response to somebody that I thought was incredible.
Is this the post from this morning?
Yeah, it was very, very, very methodical and very well thought out. And I was just like, okay, yeah. So I wanted to kind of get your kind of like mindset on the American Bully temperament, where it should be heading, and how we're going to get there.
Yeah, so I would say from when I've started, I definitely noticed a difference in temperaments. Like my very first bully, he was very drivey. He wanted to chase small animals. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He was a little bit more stubborn. He kind of had that mentality that you see more like terrier-y, where he was very adamant about doing things. Not to say that he wasn't still a great companion and wasn't necessarily what I was looking for in that moment, but there were very much traits about him that I was like, these aren't necessarily my favorite things in a dog. He's just a little too much sometimes. And when I first got into the American Bully, what I wanted essentially was what I think of as a companion dog. So for me, that's if I'm looking at like a toy poodle or a Shih Tzu or a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, what are the things that make this dog appealing to a first-time owner, right? I want a dog who's easy to train, very biddable, wants to do stuff with me, wants to follow me around, isn't going to go out looking for trouble with other dogs, isn't going to knock me over to chase a squirrel down the street. Like, I just want a dog who's going to be easy to manage. And that was kind of when I got into the Bully, my understanding was this is a dog geared for a first-time home or a first-time dog owner. Somebody who is not super knowledgeable on dogs should be able to get an American Bully and feel comfortable out with their dog, or I should be able to hand my American Bully off to somebody else and not feel like he's going to go out and pick a fight or knock them over or be questionable with people that they see. So for me, again, that companion temperament really comes down to, is this an easy to live with dog? And is it a dog who is enjoyable to be around for the average person? Maybe somebody who doesn't really like dogs. You know, is this a dog who's very in your face and needs to be doing stuff? And if you're kind of alluding to what I was talking about earlier today, somebody had said, well, to me, a companion dog is a dog that I can go out and hike 5 miles with. And my response to that portion of the conversation was, to me, a companion dog is a dog who, again, is easy to live with, right? Like, I want a dog who, if I only have time to go for a 15-minute walk, that's enough, right? That's not to say that a companion dog shouldn't be able to keep up with your lifestyle. If I'm somebody who hikes 5 miles, I should be able to take my basis of a dog who's happy with their 15-minute walk and condition them up to a dog who can go out and hike 5 miles with me.
I like that.
But at the core, this shouldn't be a Malinois that's asking to go out and run and train and do all these crazy things every day that are going to take so much of your time that, you know, most families aren't looking for that in this day and age. They're looking for that easy dog that wants to go and hang out at a brewery.
Yeah.
Well, and I do find that a lot of people, they kind of miscategorize companionship in the sense of, like, they have a golden retriever. They're exceptional companions, yes, but they are game bred in a general sense. Like, that's what, like, they have a job. They require a job. And beyond just companionship. And so when you think about companion dogs, it's like that is their job.
Right.
And
their job is to keep us happy, right? Like, to do things
exactly.
with us.
They keep up with our lifestyle. And if our lifestyle isn't jogging 20 miles a freaking day or going hiking out in the freaking Rockies, or, you know, if they're, you know, hunting boar and shit, like, it's if our lifestyle is pretty laid back and pretty low key, companion breeds are for you.
Exactly.
No, I totally agree. And in terms of drive, I understand that there's different types of drive. You've got your prey drive, defensive drive. You know, drive at its core and what it means is something that motivates a dog. So whatever motivates your dog is what they have drive for. And for some dogs, that's chasing animals. That might be playing tug, or these other behaviors that really stimulate those natural behaviors that they have and those instincts within them. So for me, I view the American Bully as a breed that should be low to moderate drive. You know, if a dog wants to go out and play lure course or play tug, I think those are perfectly acceptable behaviors. But again, I don't want a bully who's dragging me or knocking me over because I see a cat, or killing all the birds that come into my yard, or the possums.
Oh my God, I know it. Yeah.
That's not the dog I want.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, no, that was definitely something I kind of wanted to get your opinion on. Because again, like, I had seen kind of your comments on that, but like, I wanted everybody else to kind of to hear that too, because it was very, again, it was very, very well thought out and very methodical, and I enjoyed reading it, so I felt that needed to be shared.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just not a high drive dog kind of person, and I know that about me.
Yeah.
So anytime that topic comes up, and again, I think it's something that people just get really confused on. They don't, like, they hear the word. You always hear people say, you know, drive or temperament, or just throwing out these words that start to feel like buzzwords, right? Like, you don't really know what they mean. And so then some people are like, well, I do want a dog with drive because I want to go out and I want to do lure coursing, or I want to play tug, or I want to do dog ducking, or weight pull, or whatever these other activities are, when in reality, like, you're not looking for a dog to go out hunting or to run, like you said, 20 miles a day with. You just want a dog who wants to be that companion that wants to hang out and do stuff with you. And you can always build drive up on a dog to get them to whatever you're trying to do, but you can't take that drive away.
Exactly. And it turns into this thing where you're sitting there like, well, the drive in and of itself, you know, it's first and foremost, it's genetics. So that's, you know, you've got to also ask yourself the most important question, which is, if you are looking for a dog that has more drive than what the American Bully, which, again, like, if you actually read the breed standard on, like, their temperament and things like that, you need to kind of reconcile yourself with the potential that if you're wanting a dog with drive, you don't want an American Bully.
Absolutely.
you might be really needing a different breed.
Right. I
Instead of
totally
trying to
agree with
tailor
that.
it into like a different, like, oh, well, no, I want a bully with drive. It's like, no, then you don't want an American bully. You want something else. You want a Dogo Argentino. You want you know,
Conning
a,
Corso
or
or
a scenario. Like you want something else, you know? So it's just,
yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that. And like I said, I for sure see the differences. Like when I was first going to shows back in 2014, we would see dog fights break out here and there, whether it was people coming with ABKC dogs or just stack off dogs or whatever. And I feel like you don't necessarily see that as much anymore. Like I go to ABKC shows virtually, you know, every other weekend right now. And I am so happy to see the number of intact male dogs that can interact with each other and you're not having a fight in the middle of the show. I would say for me, I think UKC is still pretty far behind in that regard. I do still see a lot of that gameness and high drive in a lot of these dogs that are at UKC events. And that's kind of, I mean, to be totally transparent, that's where I stepped back from UKC. Is I was at an event where an American bully had lit up on a judge in the sense of kind of growling and barking. They weren't able to examine the dog hands-on, and they still awarded that dog that day.
Wow.
And for me, that was my moment of, you know, I think I need to take a step back and kind of evaluate how I feel about the registry. So that's where I want to, again, support the club and the United American Bully Association that has now started up and is working on trying to address these things. So I'm happy to give as much of my time as possible to that movement and getting that more aligned. But until I start to see temperament become a priority in UKC, it's such a big deal for me. I just don't want to put my dog at risk at an event where a dog might try and grab him.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And then you run into things like breed-specific legislation being an issue, and you know, trying to convince an entire community that these are companion breeds.
Right,
But
not
still
always,
people
right?
breeding them with heavier drive. You're like, you're counterproductive.
Right. I mean, that's my biggest frustration is how are we going to sit and classify these within UKC specifically as a companion breed, but people here are still bringing out these dogs that I wouldn't feel comfortable handing that dog off to anybody but their owner, because I see it in their, you know, the way that they're acting going around the ring right now, that's just not a dog who, whether it's other dogs, so, you know, small dogs, big dogs, they're eyeing the fluffy dogs that are in front of them when they're in the group ring. It's just like that. Yeah.
With that squeak, if I bite it, I'm like, no, no, it won't. Oh God.
Please don't.
It might. Oh gosh.
Man, yeah, no, I've actually been at a show though, and I think that's what I find crazy is as far as like that experience for you where an American bully that kind of growled and snarled at a judge and still got awarded. I've seen a judge with a Doberman who kind of snarled and gore his teeth. He kicked him out of the ring.
Yeah.
And that's part of their kind of like that's their jam. Like that's part of their persona. And even then he's like,
Yeah, not dealing with that. No, and I think that's such a crazy concept too, because the Doberman is the only breed in history that was created for bite work. Like that is the only dog with the sole purpose of being a protection animal, and still look at that and say, hey, this isn't what we want to see. Yeah, I mean, it's not appropriate. Even if you do have a properly trained protection animal, they shouldn't just be going off on anybody that comes up to them in the ring. I definitely commend that judge.
Absolutely. No, that's why I was so impressed with that. I was like, okay, like he's because I mean it does come down to a measure of control, and you hear the phrase "control your animal" a lot, and that falls into that category because these dogs, they shouldn't be just growling at anybody. They should only be growling when you tell them to.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
or in an appropriate situation, like, and a show is never going to be the place for that, in my opinion. So, and I think I know like a lot of people don't necessarily know where I come from also. So before going into construction, I actually trained dogs for about 10 years, and I focused primarily on behavior modification and these very extreme cases. I also, in that time, brokered or worked with a place that brokered police dogs for a little bit. So I do have experience with dogs that are trained in protection and bite sports. I've got experience with dogs that have hit that point of no return, whether it's with other people or other dogs. Like I've got a lot of knowledge in general dog husbandry and care and genetics and all of these other things that kind of go behind them, which is kind of where I feel I get a little heated sometimes when I see people that are putting these things out there that aren't necessarily true, or where you can see that they don't have a clear understanding of these temperament items that they're talking about. And also why I knew very much that I wanted an American Bully as a companion dog, because I had worked with such wild cases for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, my dogs need to be easy.
Right. Yeah. When you work with something that's just that high vigilance, high demand, like having a true companion breed after that point, it's like a total dynamic shift in your life. Like your life is entirely altered because you're like, oh, you don't need me to go and run you 5 miles a day, or to have you, bait for 5-10 minutes a day. Like you don't have to do that. It's
right. It's nice to have easy dogs, and that's where I was like, hey, this is kind of the life for me. Easy dogs.
Yeah.
Man, no, I'm happy for you. That's I mean, he seems like he's a good dog I mean, he's just so easygoing, and he gets out there and he does his job and he's happy to do it.
Oh, he loves it. If
yeah,
you
he's a
ever see us
beautiful.
outside, we usually have to stand back a little bit because it's almost like the nose work. When he knows we're going in the ring, he'll drag me. He's like, let's do it. I'm ready.
That's awesome. He gets excited for it. Yeah. I love seeing a dog that gets excited to go in the ring. Some handlers or some people pull their dog in there and you're like, your dog does not enjoy this at all.
Right.
Sure, you guys are enjoying any of this moment. Any moment.
Right. You're like, come on, please for me. And they're like, I guess I'll do it for you.
One sympathizer. I've one that'll do it just because I make him, and then another one that he's happy to be there, but he's also happy to not listen. So it's like we kind of have that crazy dynamics. I get it.
Oh, I always tell people, as good as Baroque looks on his good days, he has never failed to humble me when I think that we're doing pretty good across the board. So he makes sure that I remember that we can change our tune at any point in time.
Yeah. Yes. So where does he currently place right now in ABKC and the road to nationals? What shows are you going to leading up to the MBS Nationals? That the booth releases tomorrow. So what are the shows you're going to?
Yeah, so we just came back from San Diego this past weekend.
Wow.
He's currently number 4, I believe, tied with Skywalker, if I remember correctly.
Nice.
And then we're looking at going to Michiana this weekend. We'll be in probably in Lumberton the beginning of October. Still undecided on where we're going October 11th. There's a couple opportunities that day, whether it's Allentown or Dallas, and Alabama, I think, is also on the table.
Andalusia, Alabama. Come on down.
That is this gentleman's wife and Kenny of his show. So the one down in Andalusia, Alabama, you'd actually come and meet us.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, I'm definitely.
So we got a commitment. We got a commitment. No, I'm just joking.
No pressure, but pressure.
I would say right now I'm mostly torn between Alabama and Dallas, just because my boyfriend is down in Louisiana currently, so we're trying to figure out the best place to meet up. But I've got both of those on the radar, kind of eyeing up. I think there's a Virginia show coming up in November, more geared towards, I want to say, oldies right now. But, keeping an eye on that one, and then that'll probably be where we cut it before we hit BRC Nationals and ABKC Nationals.
Nice. Well, good luck to you in all the upcoming shows.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier when you were kind of stepping back from UKC because you wanted to make sure that you could condition him better for
Yeah.
ABKC and for BRC. What do you do? What does that entail to get him ready for those bigger shows?
Yeah, so uh, truthfully, Baroque is a dog who is a little bit softer, I would say, in the sense of if something is not enjoyable to him, he doesn't really want to do it. And so we do kind of back off a little bit on the amount of obedience training and various performance training that we're doing while we're prepping for these shows so that we can continue to really amp up and make like confirmation kind of the fun thing that we're focusing on. He right now has been pretty easy to keep weight on because it's been so hot out that he's not really going out and moving around as much as he normally does. But it is something that I try to be cognizant of and make sure that I'm adjusting his food properly. ABKC, you want a little bit more weight on them when they're showing, whereas in UKC, they're looking for a very fit, slender dog. So while we were showing UKC, we did quite a bit more like swimming and weight training activity, cardio, if you will, to kind of slim him down. Whereas in ABKC, our play is more so tug and things that really kind of help add bulk back onto him. So I try to stay aware of what we're doing and make sure his food stays adjusted daily. So that's not to say that we haven't that I've completely backed off from anything else. We still spent our summer swimming. He just got a few more extra calories to help offset that.
There we go.
Yes, hey, I know how dogs look if you make them swim like every other day. So how do you make your dog swim? I mean, do you have them in a pool or do you have them in a pond or what?
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. So there's a dock diving pool near us. Baroque is not confident enough to dive off the dock, but he'll jump off the ramp and he thinks that's the most fun in the world. So he loves going to the pool. He likes going to the lake if it's not too hot outside. One of the culture shocks I would say for us moving from the north to the south is the water here is warm during the summer, and we're used to like alpine lakes when you get in and it feels like
Right.
you're
It's still cold. Even the dead of summer, it could be 80 degrees outside. The water's still like
yeah, it can be 100 degrees out and that water is still freezing.
Hey, look, and you know what? And the thing is that people don't understand making the dog swim what kind of muscle and that I put on a dog. But see, a lot of people don't know that, or they don't have nowhere to take the dog to swim like you
Right.
Yeah.
have. So that's probably the best cardio. I seen a dog, man, back when ABKC got started. That was back in 2005. I forget the dog name, but the guy told me he let him swim every day for like 5-10 minutes.
Oh
And
yeah.
that dog had so much muscle mass, man. He was
Sure.
awesome. That dog was
Yeah.
awesome.
I think the only
Man,
thing you have to worry about, though, and I only say this for the dogs that are a little bit, they have more of that bulldog snout, is you just got to worry about aspiration and just,
Yeah.
because they get
We
water in their snout, they're breathing it in. It's going to, they could develop pneumonia, just things like that. So you got to be a little bit careful with the shorter muzzles
Yeah. Good point.
in that regard. But yeah, swimming is
hey,
so
and then let
fun.
me add this. Let me add this. The way he did it, it's like he went out in a boat, right? He's
Mhm.
out in a boat and he had like a harness. He didn't just throw him out there by himself. He had a harness. So actually he'll let the dog swim beside the boat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But he will have a leash and a harness on the dog if he get tired, or if he get tired, he'll just pick the dog up. That's how
Yeah,
he would let
bring
this
it back in.
dog swim. He just wasn't throwing him out there. He had total control.
Yeah.
He
Have at
had
it.
total control over his dog the
Good
whole
luck.
time.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
definitely
I've got one
always
dog
make sure.
that doesn't like getting wet, and one dog that, like, I'm sure he'd sink right to the bottom. He would need a life vest.
I
That's
think I
He
can
would
I
get,
guess
always
which
use a
one.
life vest.
he's got the density of
I'm
a
not a
collapsed
strong
star.
I'm like, for me, I'm not strong enough to pull a dog out if they start sinking. So I'm always a life vest, whether we're in the pool or we're at the lake or
Yeah.
wherever we are. But I know, like, when I started Baroque, I just kind of put him on a long line and I would go out into the lake and just kind of coax him to come out and let him know, you come out, you can go right back, and just kind of slowly built up
Yeah.
Do
that
down vest,
desire
yeah.
Yeah, desire to get in, and then I show him how to get right out if he doesn't like it. So we actually only use tennis balls if we're swimming, and so when he sees tennis
Oh,
balls now, he knows that we're gonna go swimming, and he
I
finds
like that.
so much fun.
That's
yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
And I mean, it's so good for their joint health too. Just getting, especially these big, heavy dogs, to get them in the water and you take all that weight off their bones and you can get them
yeah, zero
to
impact.
work them
It's a
out.
zero impact workout. I mean, you just
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
get anything in
Yeah.
that.
Oh, it's just so good for you. It really gets, your cardiovascular system going. You really get those muscles working out and you're not putting that strain on the body overall. So I'm a big fan of water for keeping these dogs active and in shape, especially in the summertime.
Well, yeah, it's great for like the
Absolutely.
hips and and everything like that. Which so I noticed one of the banners that you have for him. You have a significant amount of testing done
Yes, we do.
on him.
So
What kind of
um,
testing you got on this boy?
one of the things I think for me too, kind of coming from just dog husbandry in general to American
Mhm.
Bullies, is I'm used to, if you're looking to buy a dog, right, you want to see the health testing on the parents, and especially in the American Bully where we see so many dogs that pass away really young and we don't necessarily know why. I find any data that people are able to collect on their dogs to be very helpful. So for me personally, it kind of gives me some peace of mind to have an idea of what I'm working with. And I think a lot of people have hesitation to do any sort of health testing because in their mind, if a dog fails a test, that's it. They're done. The dog is washed. And for me, I view it more as it's information that you now have. So it's not necessarily like, oh, you got to get rid of the dog from your breeding program. You now know, hey, maybe this dog doesn't have the best elbows. So we look for a dog who's got better joints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we make those decisions to work towards that healthier bully overall. So Baroque does have his shoulders, elbows, hips, advanced cardiac where they do an echo to check the heart function. And then we just did like a genetic panel with Embark to see what he carried there as well.
Hey, so
Nice.
look, did you try the platinum on ABKC?
No, not yet. I've heard about it. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Is that all
We do
through
have
OFA?
we do have the OFA chick number, which the American Bully just got recognized in the program in, I think it was May of this year.
Oh,
So that's a free program as well. So if you do the test with them and you send them into OFA, they'll assign you a chick number, and anybody can then look it up and say, oh, this dog was tested. And again, that doesn't mean that the dog passed. So for example, Baroque's hips went mild, which is not a passing score, but it gives me a lot of information to work with him. And he's still got his OFA chick number just for having had the test done.
Nice.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you that because Dave, he was on a couple of weeks ago, and I think he said how many was total dogs that tested? Was it how many did he say? I was wondering was you in that
I
number? That's
know.
why I asked.
No,
I
not yet.
completely lost, but I remember being shocked by it. I thought, oh, really?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember being impressed by the
Was it
number.
four? Was it 40? Was it 40? About
That's
I
40?
don't
awesome.
know. I don't.
I
Yeah.
can't remember. It wasn't
I can't remember. I
wasn't
do
a
remember
lot.
thinking it was more than I thought it would be with it being
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
new.
No, that's
And I
awesome. That's awesome that they already have so many dogs
Mhm.
enrolled in it. So,
Right.
and I know for a while, if you reached out to Dave or the ABKC, you could have any tests that were previous, like that your dog had done, added to their pedigree, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I like
So I
that they're
think
pushing that.
yeah.
yeah, I like the premium pedigree is a great way to really incentivize people. It gives you something physical that you can show off and brag, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Anything we can do to get people out and really kind of looking at these things, and again trying to figure out how do we get our dogs to live longer.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't want a dog
Longevity.
for 6 years, right? When they should be living 10 to 12.
100% without breaking a sweat. Absolutely. Nolan has a good question. He said, pin hip versus OFA hip.
Yeah, so you're looking at two different things between pen hip and OFA. I think both are very valuable in the information that they give. So pen hip, I think, is fantastic if you're really wanting to weed out dogs in your program because you can do the test starting from 16 weeks old on your puppies. And what it's
Wow.
checking is laxity of the hip joint. So if the joint is too loose, that's something that they're able to detect and tell really early on. And from what I've seen, the results stay pretty consistent throughout age on dogs who are tested over and over again, because it's like an actual number that they're checking and looking for between the ball in the socket to see how loose that joint is. OFA is looking more at the overall conformation of the hip. So how correct is this one specific image that we're looking at?
Right. It's placement. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and that one is a little bit more gray. So you typically get a panel of 3 veterinarians who look at the hip, decide how they think the joint looks overall, and then they give it a score, and you get the average of that score. Again, I think that it's very helpful information in the sense that you're actually looking at the hip itself and the way that it looks, but that's a test that you're doing on an adult dog who has fully formed joints, right? So typically after 2 years old for that one. And unfortunately, that is a test where if you have a good vet who does good x-rays, you can get really great results. And if you have a vet who maybe doesn't necessarily know how to line it up perfectly, you could get lesser than desired results, but then turn around and retest the same dog with different x-rays and get way better results. Whereas with pen hip, you're looking at veterinarians who have to go through the pen hip training program to even be able to take those x-rays and send them off.
Golly, Savannah, you've been studying. Boy, you know your stuff, don't you?
Yes, she does.
Hey, man.
I got a lot of knowledge.
Very, very
Wow.
impressed with her.
Which is funny because I remember when I reached out to you and I was like, hey, I'd really like to have you on the show. You're like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel like. I'm like, no, really, I really want you on this show, and it's because I've been kind of watching how you commented on things, and it's like you have so much knowledge, not even just on this breed, but about dogs in general, and especially about the kind of dogs that built this breed, and that's what was invariably important, because we sometimes lose sight of where we've been
Right.
in contrast to where we are,
Right.
and how to either combat that or just kind of make sure that we complement that to whatever degree. So yes, you being on here is very
Yes.
intentional, and you are more than worthy.
Hey, look, and I'm
Like,
glad.
there's so much knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
I'm glad you
appreciate
really
that.
came on, because we needed to hear that. This in the community need to hear this also. And now, we can go a step further by digging ourselves. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you building your nerves up to come on with us.
Oh, well, thank you. It was definitely one of those, like, I had talked to Nikki Holcomb specifically because I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you have so much knowledge. You just, maybe not as many dogs that are titled, but it's not that you haven't been in the breed and been watching
Right.
and been reading
It
and
always boils
studying.
down to that.
Yeah.
No, and that's something that we've actually had discussions about as well. Is this, you have a lot of people that they have a bunch of dogs and have a bunch of titles, and it's, that can't be it. That can't be the one thing that determines your true accolades, your true knowledge, your true contributions to the community in and of themselves. And it's like, so whether or not, Baroque is going to be like that kind of that first American bully for you that really kind of starts that journey for you in this breed, you still have so much before him that kind of puts you into this position of, you're looking at it from the dog. Like, it's not about becoming the biggest this, the best that. You're like, no, I have a good dog. I want to companion him. I love doing it. He loves doing it. And it's about the dogs, or it's about nothing at all. And I feel like that is a mentality that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the feedback on that, because it is one of those things for me. First and foremost, I want to do things that are enjoyable for me and my dogs, and I want to have dogs that are enjoyable to do things with. So I appreciate that that's something that people are seeing as well. And it's not a lack of knowledge, right? It's doing the right thing for the dog that you have in front of you. And that was like my last bully, he loved dock diving and lure coursing, and so that's really what we focused on. You know, we did a few fun shows early on, and he had his UKC championship, and he got that. He went in and swept in a weekend, but he was a very terrier looking dog back in 2015. And I knew he wasn't necessarily a dog that I wanted to breed and move forward with in that way. We had done one pairing with him. I didn't really love the way that the puppies came out, so neutered him, still did his health testing just for my own peace of mind, and then ran off and did sports until I decided I wanted another show prospect.
That's awesome.
One of the things that, yeah, one of the things, and I know that Bruce and Caleb and I have mentioned this, and even Michael on multiple occasions, sometimes the thing that makes you a better breeder is not necessarily knowing when to breed, it's when knowing not to.
Absolutely.
And being able to make that distinction and being willing to make that distinction. And so, man, kudos to you for being willing to be like, no, I tried it, it didn't work, so I'm not going to keep on putting this out there. I want to look for something new. I'm willing to start with a clean slate. I'm willing to make these moves outside of what I already have. And that's a really hard pill to swallow for some folks.
Oh,
They want to make what they have work instead of working from scratch.
Right. And I agree. I mean, it's so hard because it was one of those internal battles for me of how can I love this dog so much and want to do all these things with him, and I want, puppies off him, and I want to see him go and do these things that he's not necessarily built for. And so that was really a struggle that I had for a little bit.
It's sentimentality. It's sentimentality. Like, we love this dog so much, we want to reproduce it and make more of it. And sometimes that sentimentality is counterproductive to obviously what we would consider the greater cause.
Right. And I think that's something when I first was getting back into it with Baroque, where people were so used to seeing me with this very terrier type lacking dog, who I loved so much and was so obsessed with, that they were like, oh, you actually want to have bully dogs. And I was like, I've wanted to have bully dogs all along. That's why I neutered this dog. But that didn't, I also didn't want to split my time across, because at that point in time, I knew that I was very limited on what I could give to having dogs.
Man, that's self-awareness. That's hard to come by. Self-awareness.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that comes with, knowledge, and the more dogs that you have and the more that you're around it. Because while I've only had a handful of bullies, I've had a lot of dogs in my life.
Yes, no, absolutely.
So do you have any productions off Going For Broke?
He's had one litter so far with a female named Champion Vendetta. She's off of some click-off blood. He has one son who is now just finished his UKC Grand Champion, so he's about a year old. We're hoping to roll him out into ABKC shortly, pushing his owner Krista to try and get him out there for some of the upcoming shows. And then one of his daughters has got her UKC championship as well.
How old is she now?
So Baroque is 2, and those are 2.5. And then those pups are about a year.
Nice. Dang, she's got her title at champion title in UKC already. I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, so one UKC champion female, one UKC Grand Champion male, and then hoping, like I said, to get the male out into BRC and ABKC and hopefully next year. And then we actually, right before this, were completing another breeding, so fingers crossed that one takes, and I've got some prospects to bring out next year too.
You want to talk about that breeding that you're hoping to do, or you want to keep that kind of on the low? It's 100%.
I think we're keeping it on the low for now, but I'm very excited for it. So really hopeful to see.
Hey, Savanna, look, I got a question for you. You might have already said that I probably could have missed it or something like that, but I know you're doing a lot of shows with your own, with your own product or whatever. Anybody reach out to you by, showing them, showing their dog and working their dog and everything?
Yeah, I've had a few people reach out. It's something that I've considered. I'm not entirely sure that handling is the route that I want to go down just quite yet. I feel like I'm still trying to perfect the way that I feel going into the ring. And I'm not one of those people that just kind of wants to go in and wing it and fumble or kind of half-ass my way through learning how to show other dogs that I don't necessarily have the same bond with as my own dog. So again, it's something I've kind of toyed with, but at this point in time is not necessarily something that I'm looking to offer.
Okay.
So,
I was wondering because if had nobody asked you, I know it's coming. You know, I knew it was coming. So I mean, that's a decision that you have to make. I know, just like I said, I know you showing your own stuff and everything, but I mean, it probably would be good for you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I would
Now.
love to see you in the ring more. Like,
Yeah,
I
and see
just,
the
I,
thing is, when
I'm,
you perfect somebody else's dog, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That means much more, you know, to me,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it's for me, at least right now, it's just kind of that fine line of trying to make sure that I have the time to complete my own goals,
mhm.
and not necessarily setting somebody else up for disappointment. Just with, again, I still am running a full-time job doing construction Monday through Friday and some
Right.
weekends. So
Right.
um,
Yeah. That's what Joe Mills was just saying. He's just like, it's really, really hard to balance between showing and breedings and all the other things you got
right,
going on. So,
everything else
yeah.
in
Hold
life.
up,
Yeah.
hold up, hold up,
You're right.
hold up. Did you say construction?
Yeah. So
You didn't
What it?
catch that part about the state notes? That's what
yes.
she's saying. Bruce.
I am currently the electrical engineer for the Nissan Stadium for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, well, that ain't construction. That ain't
Oh, I
construction.
mean,
I'm thinking,
yeah, it
look,
is. You ever tried to?
I'm thinking probably a flag girl holding a stop sign with shovels and stuff like that. That ain't construction.
No,
What you
she's
doing?
making all the lights work, bruh.
Right. I wouldn't say so.
I feel like
Just
that's
to
vastly
clarify,
more.
I don't do, like, I'm not a designer in that sense of like the word engineer, right? I'm on the construction operations side, just overseeing more of the day-to-day regarding electrical specifically. So
Okay,
I might
I
not be
missed
out
that.
there installing lights
It's
myself, but I'm
insane.
still out in the field watching and making sure that everything is getting done right. And if people have questions, that we're getting that information for them.
It is. Like, what
I
is-
guess everybody construction different from my construction because
Right.
construction means shovels,
You're
sweat,
thinking about
drinking
laying
Gatorade when you get hot.
concrete and steel, and like she's talking about making everything function. Like once you get on it, like,
I've had my days with shovels, and I knew that long term, I'm not a girl who's built to be out there with a shovel all day.
on then. So
Oh
how did
man.
you get into that? Because that seems like it's very hyper specific.
Yeah, so I feel like my background kind of across the board is just a lot of crazy stuff. Wherever cool opportunities came up in life, I decided to take them. So I come from a gold mining town. My father is a gold miner and has been my entire childhood. So that was an opportunity that I had when I first went to college and was studying animal behavior back in 2011, was kind of working at the mines in the summertime to make some extra money to help offset the cost. At that point in time, I had learned about construction management specifically as a degree, but wasn't necessarily interested in it. I went off, did dogs for a while, right? Training, behavior, etc. And then kind of got burnt out. And that's where, as far as handling goes, again, just trying to be very mindful of my goals currently. So when I did get burnt out on dogs, I was, well, what do I want to do now? And I had just kind of remembered this construction management program existing and thought, hey, it's a good way to make some money and be able to actually have a dedicated home versus work life.
Right.
That was kind of my big challenge with working with other dogs was you spend 12 hours a day working with somebody else's dog. And then you go home and your dog is sitting there looking at you with their tail wagging, and you're like, I'm so tired.
You ready to play? And you're like, oh, not really. I'm exhausted already.
Right.
Oh man.
So I really wanted to do something that would give me more of that home versus work life. And, you know, there's a lot of construction projects that are dog friendly that still let them come and hang out, but I'm not feeling as burnt out doing dogs.
Yeah. Dang, man, that's just it does sound like an awful lot. But I mean the fact that in a general sense, whether it be dogs or whether it be other careers, like you have kind of reached out and then found these new things, you know, and just kind of gone with them and succeeded at them. That's amazing.
Nothing if not an opportunist. If you tell me about something cool, whether it's jumping in to read overnight and not get any sleep, or, you know, taking an opportunity to move to Tennessee to build a football stadium, I'm going to say, you know what, I'll give it a shot. Why not?
Love that. Oh man, now that speaks volumes to your character, though, is that your ingenuity, like your ingenuity. You're definitely adaptable. That's impressive.
Oh, thank you. It can be tiring at times. But I just got one of those brains that's always going and always trying to learn and pull stuff in. So I enjoy having kind of those two distinct worlds where I get to focus, you know, part of my day on cool stuff going on outside and construction, and then I come home and I get to do dogs, and on the weekends I get to do dogs, and I get to go out and see all these really cool dogs and talk to all these really cool people and keep that passion that I've always had for the dogs, without, again, kind of risking that burnout that I've previously run into. But I will say, kind of going back to the handler question, that was really always my goal as a kid, you know, watching dog shows on TV. I know, like, I had a video, like a VHS recorder, and every time there was a dog show on, I would make my dad set it up so I could record the dog show, because he didn't want to watch the dog show, right? He was like, here, you can have the tape later to go and watch that out. And I remember I would find like these dogs on there, and I would call my dad in and be like, oh, you know, this is what I want to do. Can I get one of those? And we lived in a really small rural town, like 2.5 hours to the nearest city. Like, if you needed to go school clothes shopping or see a doctor, you're 2.5 hours out. So my dad was like, oh, I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Ben, what was your, and this is just for me, what was the first breed of dog that you fell in love with? Like, watching those shows. I grew up watching, like, that was our jam, you know, the National Dog Show, the Westminster, like
Right.
We watched that every year as a family. So, like, I'm kind of interested in, like, what was your favorite breed that you're like, that's the one?
For me, Dalmatians were my first love. I always wanted a Dalmatian so bad. I remember as a kid, I spent summers like cutting lawns, painting house numbers, saving money. Like, I'm going to buy a Dalmatian. That's what I wanted. And my mom had finally found me a Dalmatian, and I was so excited. Things didn't pan out, and so that was a bummer. I've never gotten my Dalmatian. I now recognize, and as an adult, that they're probably just not the right breed for me. So it probably worked out for the best.
Maybe back then.
But that was the goal as a kid, was I was gonna get a Dalmatian one day. And then we had a family friend who actually had an Akita. And I fell in love with that dog. The Akita was my second love. But my parents were terrified of this dog, and they're
bears. They're essentially bears. They're just right. They're not as good as Tibetans, but they're just built like this. They're bears.
Huge, fluffy, intimidating. Yeah. So I begged and begged, and my mom was like, you know what? Here's a Cocker Spaniel. What about that?
Which nobody should ever want.
But
they chose poorly.
Right. So I would say I was fortunate enough to have this person who did have Akitas. I remember he bought me the AKC breed books, and he was really kind of who kicked off, like, you know, if you can't have the dog, read about it, learn. Go and watch these dog shows on TV, read the books, get as much information as you can, so that when you are in that position, you can do what you want to do with them. So I'm always thankful for that opportunity and that person who is no longer somebody that's a friend within the family, but came in at a time where I was really trying to figure out, how do I do the dog thing that I want to do when I don't really have the opportunities? And I'll tell you, that Cocker Spaniel, we never made it to confirmation, but he could do any trick you wanted to see. I had that dog climbing ladders. He would do
They're
the play
wild.
dead with the full
Yeah.
on his back legs, falling on the side. So dramatic.
They're wild. Like Cocker Spaniels are those dogs that like it takes like you have to constantly
Yeah,
be on
he
point
was a
with this.
working dog, and he made it known. So, but that was what I needed at that time, was a dog to really kind of get me in the trenches and actually out.
Yeah, to force you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they require it. They really do. It's yeah, that is a very hands-on breed for sure. A lot of people, they get them because they're cute, and I'm like, don't do that. That's a horrible idea.
they're a lot of work. So, and especially for me, because I'd had, this pit bull before him who was a fantastic dog, and then I had this Cocker Spaniel that my mom was like, here you go, here's your dog to go and do stuff with.
You have to do a lot of stuff with, yes, all of that. Now,
and all the grooming. I think my parents were like, if we get her something that has a lot of grooming, then she's never going to ask for a dog again.
No, it's yeah, and they have special haircuts. Like you have to groom them a specific way. It's like this is it's too much. It's too much. I got a question for you. Like, so with coming from like a all breed kind of background, do you feel like the American Bully is potentially going to get to a point where the AKC would acknowledge it?
I would love to see the American Bully get to a point where the AKC will acknowledge it. The AKC might give us a little bit of pushback on it. And so this is actually something I have been looking into a lot and trying to figure out what that process looks like for newer breeds that have been developed in the United States. So I've really been following the journey of the Silken Windhound, if you've heard of that breed before. So they were developed kind of around the same time as the American Bully, looking at like that late 80s, 90s kind of era. They've been working very, very hard to get to AKC recognition, and they're just a couple years ahead of us. So I've watched all of the efforts that breed has made. Unfortunately, AKC does keep moving the goalposts for them. So I believe it used to be, I'm going to speak wrong, but it used to be less years of an established breed than it is now. I want to say 25 maybe, or 30 years. Yeah. And AKC requirements are currently at 40 years of documented tracked pedigrees for purebred dogs before you can even consider trying to get them into the foundation stock services. So yeah, I'm curious to see, because I think the Silken Windhound will kind of be that first time that you see a breed like this move into that spotlight, because they developed off of the Borzoi, and I think it was the Borzoi and the Whippet. So yeah, from what I've heard, there's been a bit of pushback of the foundation clubs of those breeds on trying to keep the Silken Windhound at bay. And I guess that is potentially a concern that we could run into with the American Staffordshire Terrier Club, should they decide that they don't necessarily want to see the American Bully come into the AKC. So again, it's something I personally am kind of tracking and keeping eyes on. It's something that I think people who want to see this become an AKC breed will need to get involved in that breed club that I was talking about. Again, the United American Bully Kennel Club. United American Bully Association, one of the requirements of AKC is that you have an established parent club, so to call it, which is different than a registry, right? It's somewhere for members.
Right, it's actually a breed club, yes.
Right, and talk about the breed, and that's who sets the standard within AKC. So I think anybody who would like to see us move towards that should definitely consider getting involved, even if they don't necessarily want to be an active member, but maybe just want to keep tabs on where things are going. The only way that we can really move that direction and kind of take that next step is by having people who are involved and making sure that the breed is moving in the right direction. from all aspects. And I think that's kind of one of the concerns that I've had with the breed in general is people get so focused on like right now, right here, the dogs that we're seeing, the things that we're looking at, they're not necessarily looking ahead and trying to come from a non-bias. And, you know, everybody's going to have their biases, but I think a lot of people really struggle to let that bias go and think about the breed holistically and what we're going to be and where we're looking at in the next 10, 15 years.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, it's just one of those things where it's a continuity issue. It's making sure that, you know, and even Joe mentioned something a second ago that, I mean, it's probably pretty legitimate. The community itself sometimes is less desirable. So they take, I know that they do take that into account, even though they're not supposed to. But it's a continuity issue and trying to make sure that there's enough type within, you know, after the books have been closed, that is consistent, that it's distinguishable, you know, in contrast to the breeds that make it, and to do so consistently. And so it's like, have we reached that yet? I mean, not even I'm willing to say that.
Right. And I agree. That's not, and I don't think that AKC is something that we're looking at in the next, 10 years necessarily, but maybe the next 15 or 20 as we continue to develop and actually consistently see dogs with the breed type. And I feel like we're starting to see a lot of that breed type come forward now that people have been working for over the last couple of years. I mean, you're seeing XLs like Apollo who are coming in and they look like what you would expect an XL to.
Yeah.
And
yes.
you're seeing dogs like Baroque that are coming into the classic class and people are like, that's a classic.
They're bridging that gap. And that's the thing. I don't know if you've seen the interview we've done with Dave where we were talking about that bridging of the gap between the classic and the standard and how there's so many dogs that really are truly embodying how close that gap is starting to close. And Baroque is one of them. Baroque is one of those dogs that it just feels like we're starting to get to the point where classics are less and less needed to clean up messes because we're having less and less messes.
Right. I agree. And I think it's unfortunate too that the classic has always kind of had this negative stigma around it. And I'll say, I mean, I'm guilty of it too, right? Like, my dog's not a classic, they're a standard. But I would say probably since Castro kind of started to take the face of the classic, I feel that you see them actually starting to have type and people not necessarily looking at them as like, oh, you've just got a lacking bully. It's a classic, right? And I think that's always been my biggest grief, if you will, with the classic class as a whole. And it's especially notorious with UKC dogs, right? Oh, your dog should go show in UKC. And to me, that's fundamentally, if your dog lacks breed type to the point that you don't think that they look like a bully, they shouldn't be showing, right? You shouldn't be sending people to UKC to go and show them, or you shouldn't just say, oh, they're just a classic, right? And I think that drives me so crazy in the American Bully because it's the only breed where you see it. You're not going to see somebody with a Doberman who says, they look close enough to a Doberman and they've got decent health, so I'm just going to breed them and I'll add in breed type later. Like for me, if the dog doesn't look like the breed that it's supposed to look like, then it's not correct. And it just, and I get it too when I try to talk about health testing specifically. You see a lot of individuals that have kind of been the face of the health tested bully for a long time that have kind of thrown this around and been like, well, I'll just add in this breed type later with these dogs who are so far from what the American Bully should look like. And I guess I could see it if you saw those dogs that had phenomenal health testing, but that's not the case, right? Like the majority of these dogs are still failing elbows or they're still coming back with mild hips. And so then it's crazy.
Heartwormers.
Right. And then you see programs like Caitlin Hornbacher up in Washington where she's health testing these very extreme dogs and she's getting fantastic health results with them.
Which is great though, like those are good breeding tools to be able to utilize and everything. And I know that's one of the things that has been spoken on, you know, even for the last several years, is just trying to use breeding tools. Like not every dog's going to come into the ring and sweep, but they'll be good
Right.
for breeding tools. But the breeding tools in and of themselves have to be healthy. They have to be structured well. They still have to have that longevity. Like breeding tools
Right.
can't just be the most, like be extreme for no reason. They've got to also be healthy.
Right. And I think you see it, like for me, I see it on both sides, right? You have these very extreme bulldoggy type dogs and you have these very extreme terrier type dogs.
Right.
And I think that as a breed, we're finally starting to kind of move away from necessarily needing these extreme sides of the breed. And you're starting to, like you were saying earlier, kind of bridge that gap where you've got these classics that look like a classic and they have that breed type, and you're still
Right.
getting these health results, and you're getting these more extreme dogs who don't necessarily just look like they're bulldogs with cropped ears, that are also getting health test results. And I think you've got great tools on both sides. So like you said, I really think that's where a lot of people are just looking for this perfect dog. And a lot of it is, you know, you need to take the information that you have and make the best decisions that you can,
Yeah.
whether it's health, structure, whatever it is that you're looking to really improve on.
Great. Absolutely. Dang. Woo! No, that's exciting. That was definitely. I am so glad that you opened up about all that, because I know that it can be kind of, some people are a little hesitant to talk about how they feel about it, especially the development of the breed and the continued development of the breed. Some people are just like, oh, I just don't want to ruffle a lot of feathers, you know. But you seem pretty fearless. But I think a lot of that is because there's logic in you know, how you approach it, and you've developed this opinion, you know, over years of experience and watching, and you
Right.
know, and it's
Well,
that's what it takes.
and I think, like, for me too, having come from a very terrier dog, that people would have, you know, said, hey, just show him as a classic. He might be XL height, but just show him as a classic, you know, classic, classic, classic. And like I said earlier, to have made that decision that, oh, I'm just going to tutor him, I don't think he's what I want to see in a bully, I think is kind of really set the way that I view and see the breed, where, again, if the dog lacks breed type at its core, I don't necessarily care how great its health testing results are, or any of these other things. You know, the dog needs to have all of these components, and if they're so severely lacking that you can't recognize the dog's breed, then
Yeah, if literally the first time you had, wait, what is that? Is that some sort of bulldog hybrid or something? Like you can't identify it, then it's like,
yeah. Sorry, I
man.
feel like I could just ramble all day too.
Yeah, no, you're in great company. That's, yeah, we
Just
could
talk
we
and
could we
talk.
could ramble on forever. Well, you know, but you're you know, again, you're in good company. You know, we all really love this breed, and we want to teach people about it, and we want people to kind of have a good head on them, about where breed needs to go, and you know, if there's ways to make improvements, to go ahead and try to explore that without any sort of fear or
Right.
hesitation. And it's just like the more knowledge you have, the better, and that's what we do. That's what we're here for.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's awesome to have this platform to be able to just talk and share too, and you know, kind of having a little bit of a different perspective for me, specifically coming in with a different background in dog care and the dog world, and now kind of moving more full into American Bullies.
Love it. I love it. Does anybody have any, like, gentlemen, do you have any questions for Miss Savanna, or like anybody in the comments? I know we've had a couple but I feel like every single time like we hit a point, like they don't have a lot of questions, because then you answer the next one, then you answer the next one before they even have the chance to ask it. So you've just been on point.
Caleb talking.
Caleb,
He's saying
are you
something. You
talking?
muted.
Can we not hear you?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There you
I think Amanda muted me. But yes, no, I've absolutely loved this live tonight. A lot of knowledge passed, a lot of good information. I had no idea that pin hip starts at 16 weeks. I was actually
Yeah.
baffled by that fact. So very, very good information. I'm going to rewatch this one. So thank you for coming on.
Me too. I am too.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoy having the opportunity to just come out and talk dogs. And for anybody watching, if you ever see me at a show, I know I've got notorious resting bitch face, but I love talking dogs.
One sympathizes. You get in the zone. You get in the zone. You get in the zone.
Oh,
So who wants the final question?
Caleb,
I
your
mean,
turn, Caleb.
all right. Well, hey, so much knowledge has been passed, and you've been in this breed for a while now. You've been in dogs for a while. So people that are getting into it, we try to always make a point to give it to new viewers and new people in the breed, new people in the whatever they want to do with the breed. But what advice would you give someone really getting into the breed of American Bullies?
I think finding a mentor that you really connect with is so much help. And if you don't necessarily want to look for a mentor, like, walk out and say, I'm looking for a mentor, just starting to go to shows and talking to people and find those people that you really connect with that are doing the things that you want to do, and don't be afraid to pick their brains. And if somebody doesn't want to share that information with you, not being afraid to just kind of pivot and move on to the next person who does have
I
that
like that.
information and is willing to share it. I just think there's so much stuff that you can learn from reading, but so much more stuff that you can learn from picking somebody's brain who's been involved in the breed for a while or has just been involved in dogs for a while. And I think people will go the furthest if you build yourself a good community, if you will, a good group of people to help build yourself up and reach out to and ask those questions to whenever they come up.
I love that
Good job.
answer.
Well,
And like
Absolutely
I
love
said,
that.
don't ever hesitate to just walk up and strike up a conversation with somebody. I feel like you'll know right away if they're looking to share with you, or if you just might move on. And again, I'm always happy to talk to people at shows, but once you get me started, I might not stop.
that's okay. Perfectly okay though, because you're in great company. We have the tendency to do the same thing. But no, I am so happy we were able to get you on the show, because it's again, I already knew that you had a lot to share, so it's great that you were willing to come out here and do this with us. So
Well, thank
I
you so much.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate having had the opportunity to come on and just talk.
Yes,
I know
we've
the
enjoyed
pleasure is
it.
definitely on ours. So again, thank you. And for everybody that's tuning in, if you missed the first part of the show, I'm going to be uploading it onto our YouTube channel for viewing at your leisure. Otherwise, Facebook, I think, keeps it for an extra 30 days, and that's about the extent of it, and then it deletes it automatically. Boo. But I am putting it on our YouTube channel. So I'll be putting a link in the comment section. And obviously, if you want to get in touch with Miss Savanna, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, Facebook. Facebook is the best way to reach out to me. So Savanna Fernandez on Facebook if you're looking for me there. I do have other social media. It's all linked back to my first bully. So Bourbon the Am Bully. If you're looking for me on Instagram or TikTok, I'm happy to talk there as well.
Love it.
Wonderful. I love it. And thank you again so much. It's been an absolute blast talking to you. And hopefully we'll see you at the show in
October
Andalusia.
11th.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And if
See you
not, then
there.
hopefully we'll definitely see you at Nationals, because in
Yes.
top 10, I hope you're at Nationals. But one way or another, we will definitely see you within the next 3 months. So
Yeah. No, I look forward to it. Thanks, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank
absolutely.
you.
All right,
All
everybody,
right,
have a
guys.
great night. Thank you again for tuning in.
Good night, y'all.
Peace.
Peace out.